Hello there, everybody. Charles Hamaker here with you for another rain match reaction. Um, I am still pretty stunned from last night's 3-0, no, 3-3 draw to the Chicago Stars, the visiting Chicago Stars, not the Red Stars, at Lumen Field last night. I was stunned. You get about 70 minutes in, the Rain are up 3-0, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is great. You're chugging along. You're defeating a team that you should beat pretty handily. You haven't looked incredibly stellar defensively, but your handling business is the main way that I felt, right? Um, the Rain are able to make a few subs. They bring on Linby and Dolo, Mia Fishel, and Jordan Bug. And I was like, oh, great. Kill the match off. Wonderful. Like, we're done here. Um, no. No, in fact. Uh 73rd minute, Chicago gets in behind. Nice through ball in. Um nice through ball in, I believe it was Ali Schlegel. Ali Schlegel with the through ball into Ludmila, who gets in behind the Rain defense. And I'll talk about the defensive stuff. Um, for the first goal, and I said, "Oh, that's not great. There goes the shutout." But still felt decent at that point in time. Um, then 7 minutes later, uh, oh yeah, Cameron Bogolski scores. Um, and I think, oh, hmm, this just turned into a not comfortable match. This is not good. Uh, excuse me. Excuse me. Um, and then at the death, 90 plus 9, it was originally 7 minutes of stoppage time um, from center referee Peter Dobka. Uh, that I think it's Peter Dobka. I could be wrong on that. I can get the exact name, I think. I don't think any of you care, but we had a few different things happen, some injuries. Chicago dealt with a few injuries. I believe it was three injury substitutions they had to make in this match, um, which will add to my frustration. We'll talk about that. But excuse me. Uh, yeah, 90 plus 9, corner kick, a bunch of defenders standing around in the box. I believe it was Julia Grosso with the initial header for Chicago. Yeah, Julia Grosso. Claudia Dickey makes this leaping great save, jumping save to get it with her fingertips. She denies it. She's sprawled out on the ground, but if you can go frame by frame and look at the replay of the goal, there are four Chicago players, including Alyssa Nair, near the ball compared to like two Seattle players. Seattle's unable to clear it, of course. After the play that forced the corner kick was a Emily Mason goal line clearance, um, and Alyssa Nair scores her first goal in her 200th career NWSL appearance, and it's a draw. It's felt like a loss. I think a lot of people will tell you it's felt like a loss. Felt like a loss. Um, I'm still just shocked by it.
Just it sounds like you know what needed to be done differently. Do you think that it wasn't communicated clearly enough to the players, or it just wasn't executed the way it needed to be executed?
Execution.
How does the team go about fixing that?
We have to learn from it. We learned from last week. We did some better things than we did last week. We scored the third goal, which we spoke about at halftime was going to be important. We were nullifying their threats, and then suddenly we weren't. And I think that that's the bit that we have to talk about and learn from, is how, when changes are being made in the game, can we see the game out? How can we go on and score the fourth, but also not expose ourselves to being opened up to conceding 3 goals? And conceding 3 goals the way we did tonight is obviously devastating.
So what is your message to the team after this game and going to the next one?
I've already told them that tonight's on me. I'll take full responsibility for tonight. I often do that. I think it's my job to look in the mirror first. And like I say, I often get the credit for making decisions. And I think tonight we probably made the subs a little bit too early to try and push on and get some people out of the game that we know have had a lot of minutes of late. But that's the biggest message. And I've already told them that.
I haven't been that shocked by a game in a long time, where I just kind of felt stunned, and I've just been sitting there in the press box like, what the hell just happened? We have to do our jobs, of course, and go down to the press conference. And this might be the most upset I've ever seen Laura Harvey in a press conference. I don't blame her. And it was interesting seeing uh some thoughts on both sides. Well, seeing not necessarily both sides, but seeing fans, take issue with Laura's subs. I didn't really. I thought they made sense. Um, yeah, I thought, in my opinion, they made sense. You get that incredible trio of 3 in the 66th minute. When you're up by 3 goals to try and kill the match off, I think that makes total sense. Um, Sam Meza and Emily Mason in the 85th and then the 86th minute. I mean, you get a young defender with some fresh legs on the field. You get Sam Meza, who's been pretty remarkable for you in the midfield through the course of the year to help kill it off. And like Laura Harvey was saying in the post-match press conference, you just kind of play some, um, excuse me, kind of kill the match off. I thought that made sense. Uh, you know, so um, yeah, I just thought that was a little bit interesting. Uh, Yeah, and folks were curious about Jordan Bug on the bench. I was, at least, and I asked Laura post match. I said, "Hey, what's this about?" Basically, um, Laura said, giving her a little bit of a breather. We've got a big couple weeks coming up. Yeah, they've got some interesting schedule things going on and some pretty big opponents to face. So Laura said the aim was to try and give her a breather. So, um, yeah, no, this was. I'm still pretty shocked by it. There are good things to take out of it. I know you don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. I would have much rather talk to you about a 3-2 win and it being close at the end than a 3-3 draw where you concede 3 unanswered goals and it feels like a loss. Um, yeah, but it was interesting. I was talking with Bella, our friend Bella, you'll know from our rain show. We are planning to do it tomorrow. We will see. We were supposed to do it last week. That did not happen. We will see. Um, about the defensive issues, because this is the 4th instance all time in Lorraine history where they've given up 7 or more goals in a span of 2 weeks. 7 or more goals combined in a span of 2 weeks. The other times that's happened back during that rough inaugural season in 2013, where they gave up seven, excuse me, 7 on the match on May 16th and May 19th combined. Um, Twice during a 4-week span last year when they were really bad defensively throughout the course of the year. May 11th and 19th resulted in 7 goals, and May 24th and June 9th resulted in 8 goals.
And goals up until the set piece were coming sort of from finding their players in the space where the 3-back was shifted over and the winger was maybe high. Is that, how do you sort of avoid that, or is that just a weak point of the formation?
You got to get pressure on the ball, and we didn't. And when we didn't get pressure on the ball, which we did for a lot of the game, but in the moments that we didn't, they obviously punished us in those moments.
It's definitely different games. I think that Portland was very set piece based. I think we gave up a lot of goals in set pieces, and I think that's something we dove into this week. I felt like this game, although like we did give up one at the end, I think that we were better, and this game was a completely different reason of why we're conceding. So every time this kind of happens to us, it gives us a chance to dive into why. Our end goal is playoffs, and I think that's where we're looking towards. And I think like these games, while it feels terrible to not come away with 3 points, it gives us these opportunities to grow on different aspects every time something like this happens, so that when the time comes, it doesn't happen again. So I think it gives us a different check into what is breaking down. It's all you can really look at when you walk away from a game like this. I think like you can only look at what broke us down, what went wrong, and just make sure we don't do it again. And I think we're a team that learns from mistakes very well, and we're able to hold each other accountable and take responsibility when we need to. And as long as we hold that attitude, we're going to come out in a great space. And I think this is going to be another week like that, where it's a quick turnaround into our next game, and we can just improve from here.
And then, of course, this week and then last week in Portland. As Jordan Heidem has said in the post-match press conference, this is a different match than the Portland match. So, oh, interesting. Um, yeah, it's a different match because the Portland match was very um set piece driven. The Thorns are a very good set piece team. Um, And this, obviously there's the one at the end, which is another instance of poor defending against set pieces. I know in training that's something they worked on essentially all week, coming off of the loss in Portland. Um, but it was interesting with this three defenders, oh, interesting. Sorry, there's a bunch of stuff happening currently in addition to talking about this match. Um, you know, they're effectively playing three in the back, right? And what Bella saw was Sophia Huerta, Phoebe McLaren back in the middle, and then Shea Holmes is the other sort of defender that stayed back. And then you've got Madison Curry going forward. I thought I saw Holmes, McLaren, Curry as your group of defenders in the back. That wasn't the case. The lineup the Rain put out listed four defenders, and that's what our lineup is. We don't never truly know the true form of their formation until we see it on the field, and then it's too late to post a lineup. Um, Bella's thought is that the three back, in these defensive issues, the three backs will get shifted one way, um, and the defender, no, the winger on one of the sides will be up too high, and that will leave gaps. We kind of saw that throughout the course of the match. Again, that's why I said, when the Rain had built their 3-goal lead, that even then they showed some weakness. There were some close calls. Claudia Dickey had to make a great save pretty early, uh, to deny a chance. Uh, and they just kind of held on for a bit. I thought, okay, this might be one of the uncleanest, like one of the dirtier clean sheets that they'll get. Um, but Chicago was able to take care of that, take advantage of that, take advantage of the pockets that existed with the way that they're playing in this formation, and create some more pockets in that regard. We saw that with the first two goals, really, obviously not so much the last one, but yeah, the defensive issues remain. And my whole thing with this and with the club generally is that, in a stretch like this, where you've lost brutally to Portland and your rivals on the road to snap a pretty decent streak of unbeaten play going back to June, and you play this match that it feels like a draw, to a team that sits second to last in the league table, after being up, after making some pretty subs that should be pretty impactful. These stretch of 2 weeks feels like a kick in the teeth, right? And I put it in my takeaways as much as it feels like a sports cliche or whatever. Um, it's going to be how they respond. right? Because if you look at the schedule for the club, we've got 10 matches left on the regular season. This would have been great to have because, at least for the time being, you would have jumped over Portland for the fifth spot. Um, and you'd be a lot you could if you continued some strong form, you'd be a lot closer to jumping the wave for the number two seed in the table. Granted, you still are. That's still a possibility. That's still in front of you. Only 4 points separate the sixth seed, which is the Rain, and the second seed, which is the Wave. 25 point for Seattle, 29 for San Diego. It's very much in front of you. No team has any games in hand at this point. We're all 16 across the board. And the Rain will play 10 matches left. They will have, I believe it was four against teams that are not currently in a playoff seeding. They will be able to play the Courage again. Um, they'll play Houston. Is there Courage again? Wait, yeah, play Houston. Louisville's in. Yeah, you'll play a couple teams that aren't in there right now. You'll play the team who's, a Gotham team that really confuses me. Um, I don't understand what they're doing. You'll play them, and you will have some pretty big matches against some of the best teams in the league. You'll play the top four teams in the league. Um, in San Diego, at two, Washington at four, Kansas City at one, and Orlando at three right now. You will have opportunities against every single one of them you'll play a couple of six pointers in effect. So, the opportunities in front of them, as much as we've heard that this is the deepest roster that they've had or that players have seen, which it is a pretty deep roster and they're large, knock on touch wood, as Laura would say. They're a pretty, you know, of the talk about, oh, they've been pretty healthy. Sorry, that was my point. Anna Maria Svrnogorcevic was on the availability report with an ankle injury. That felt new. Um, Hannah Glass picked up a leg injury, it seems like last week, and it seems like it'll keep her out a little bit longer. So we'll see. But she hadn't been getting much playing time anyway. Um, yeah, you're largely pretty healthy. Touch wood, knock on wood. Um, you've got a pretty deep roster. Uh, it's up to them to decide, how they want to go into the playoffs. Um, So, and you haven't been getting much out of Lynn Biondolo lately because I know she's dealing with something or she's dealt with some things in July that seem to have carried over. You haven't really fully gotten me official integrated yet. You just recently in this match got a pretty great performance score sheet wise from Jordan Heidema. So, it's all ahead of them. I do want to talk about the positives though, which include Jess Fishlock, who, now has 3 goals in then, oh my God. Sorry, the Mariners decided to announce 5 roster moves at the same time, so I had to take care of that. Yeah, talk about the positives. Again, I know you don't want to hear it, but just Fishlock continues a pretty strong run, since she returned from the Euros with Wales.
And has to ask you about someone you know pretty well. Jess has scored 3 goals in 3 matches. Just what have you seen from her, since you guys got back from Euros and she's kind of come back in firing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a phenomenal person, phenomenal footballer, and you can see that. I think the Euros really gave her the spark that she needed. She's back, she's in great shape right now, and she's playing arguably the best I've seen her play in a long time. I think when we find her in those dangerous pockets, the field lights up. You hear the crowd getting behind, and we are really dangerous in those areas. I think problem that we're having at the minute is finding her as often as we'd like. I think we need to find her a little bit more, because I think she created the second one, she scored the first one. It was so she's dangerous right now, and I think since coming back from the Euro, she's hit great form, and she's a very important player for us.
She scored in 3 goals. She scored 3 goals in the 3 matches she's played. She's added an assist to that, score sheet total there. So that's really cool to see. She's come out since then firing, which is pretty remarkable. Um, her fourth goal of the season, 46 of her NWSL career. She's now contributed to a goal in 4 consecutive appearances, the longest streak by a Reign player since Megan Rapinoe's run of 7 straight back in 2022. Um, Against Chicago, Fishlock has scored head-to-head best 8 goals and contributed to 11 overall across all competitions. Um, and I believe if I did my research correctly, the first ever goal that Fishlock scored was against Chicago. So that's cool to see. She, got that first one. Nice pass in from Jordan Heidema. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. For Jordan to get the assist. Um, and really created the second one as well. Um, which was cool to see. Uh, Interesting. Um, yeah, Jordan assisted on her opener, and then got her goal in the 34th minute, which was pretty chaotic. It came off of a rebound from a crossbar. I think it was Nair had to make this, excuse me, gosh, pretty remarkable save, which she did. Before Madison Curry gets to this loose ball, and Nair is kind of sprawled out, and not the sound. Yeah, Maddie Darlene gets a through ball in from Fishlock. Darlene, um, oh, not that too remarkable. Yeah, kind of put Nair's able to push it off, but pushes it to this area that's completely exposed, and there are 4 Reign players closest to the ball before anyone else. Madison Curry rips it, goes off of the crossbar, just barely out. And then it's basically Jordan Heidema or Emery Adamas. It bounces high, so the problem is, it's like, well, am I going to head this or what?
Jordan, can you just take us a little bit through your goal, what you saw, being able to get a foot up there for that one? Seemed like it was kind of I have to get something on this sort of play.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a desperation attempt. I felt like I was just like, don't kick anyone in the face, and your foot can get higher than everyone's head because you're quite tall. So that was my goal. I wasn't really thinking. It was just in those moments, you're just trying to do anything you possibly can to get the ball in the back of the net as a forward. And if it's that way, if it's off your kneecap, if it's off whatever, your back, you're just trying to do anything possible.
And Jordan goes for the bicycle kick, which works. Difficult because she's pretty decently tall, so getting up there for that wasn't easy, and to do so in a tighter area, not easy. She also mentioned post game she was worried about kicking someone in the face. I'm sure I'll include the clip in here. Um, so yeah, that was cool to see Jordan, get the goal and the assist. The season hasn't really gone super great for her offense in terms of the statistics, the goals and the assists, but it's been talked about often from Coach Harvey about how Jordan came to her and said, "Hey, I want to help this team win however I can." So certainly helped her. She's done so in different ways. I was looking at some of her deeper analytics, and her defending numbers were pretty good percentile wise in the league. So that was interesting to see. Um, Uh, but this is the second time in her NWSL career that Heidema has recorded both a goal and assist in the same match. So nice to see that there. And then the goal right like 11 seconds into the second half, uh, where the Reign were able to strike. Emery Adamas gets the goal, her sixth this season. Um, pretty fascinating. Reign get the initial kickoff. Claudia Dickey comes up to take it and sends it deep. This is where it gets interesting. The ball bounces once before entering the 16-yard box, and this should just be Alyssa Nayer's ball. This should clearly be Alyssa Nayer's ball, but two Chicago defenders go for it, and one of them heads it as so the two defenders and Nayer converge. The ball bounces right to Emery Adames, who's following the play, who fires on a wide open goal. And it's 3-0. At this point, I'm like, all right, it's done. Like, we can move on. Seattle's going to close this one out. Chicago's had to make, I think at this point, 3 different injury substitutions. They're already not the greatest roster. Like, you're on your home field. Let's go. No. Um, yeah, did not quite go that way. So it's difficult. It's very difficult. Excuse me. Talked about the defensive issues. It is, talked about what lies ahead. It is nice though that the Reign have had a string of matches with multiple goals scored. It says at least 6 matches in a row with multiple goals scored after starting the season not really doing that. Um, let's see. Yeah, only one in the first 3. Yeah, one in the first 10. You did not. Oh, okay. Interesting. Nice.
I think this year, like, we've changed structures, which was new for a lot of players on the field. We've had a lot of new faces come in and take big roles and responsibilities on this team as well. And I think, like, initially it's all about clicking and gelling and learning how to kind of take advantage of this formation and players' attributes. And I think, like, as the season's progressed, we've learned how to do that. And I think our depth is incredible. And I think we have so much on the bench, on the field, even in the stands that we can use, which is so unique. And I think we're learning how to use that. And yeah, we're dangerous. We're a dangerous front line. We're a dangerous midfield line. Like, we're getting forward and we're showing quality. And I think, like, our shots to goal ratio was great today, especially, like, sitting at one point, like, 7 shots, 3 goals, something like that. That's great. I think, like, we're turning opportunities into goals, and that's something huge for us.
So yeah, they're getting the offense, which is nice to see. Their defense had been so strong through that early part of the season to help kind of carry them along. We talked about that consistently. We'd heard about that from players and coaches, as we've talked about. Um, so hope you can continue that, because they are dangerous in attack. They are pretty deep in the attacking group. Um, just again, uncharacteristically, it's the defense that they've got to work on. So yeah, not super great. Again, we should have a new episode of Right as Rain for you tomorrow. We will see. Until then, the next match for the Rain comes on Sunday. Yes, this Sunday, August 24th, with a 4 p.m. kickoff time against the Houston Dash in Houston. Houston's an interesting team. They sit outside of the playoff seating right now, but they're just 3 points out of 8th to knock out Gotham for that last spot, and they beat Gotham in their last match 2-1. They've recorded a point in their last 3 matches, including winning 2 of their last 3 matches. They beat the Courage in Houston, and they beat Gotham in New York, New Jersey. New Jersey, New York, sorry. So this is an important one, and the Reign will want to avenge their Mother's Day loss to Houston that they suffered back, I think it was on May 11th. So, and they lost here. Yeah. So, yeah, I hope you were able to enjoy this Reign match react. Hopefully more than you may have enjoyed the match that they actually played. So, until we see you next time, take care of yourselves, be well, do whatever you can to make today a great day.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, where are you going to watch all the away games for Seattle Reign FC this year?
Away games. Well, since Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See y'all here.